Good morning. This is Dr. Loganathan, Assistant Professor of English. Today's topic for the discussion is My Financial Career. The essay written by Stephen Butler Leacock is a Canadian author who will be remembered for his best-selling book Sunshine Sketches of a Little Town, as well as the number of awards and honors he received during his lifetime as author, professor, lecturer, and humorist. He was born on 30th December 1869 at Swanmore, England, as the third of 11 children to Peter Leacock and Agnes Emma. The Leacock family did a lot of traveling in their early years, but finally emerged to Canada in 1876 and settled near the village of Seton, Ontario, on a 100-acre farm. It was a tough time with harsh winter and hard work. It was only 2 years later that Stephen's father, Peter, traveled to Manitoba, leaving his large family behind. Leacock enrolled at the University of Toronto in 1887, studying modern and classical languages and literature with such exceptional talent and focus that he finished 2 years worth of courses in just one. He graduated from University College in 1891 with a Bachelor of Arts degree. The year 1890s heralded his early success as a humorist with articles published in various magazines such as the New York periodicals, Truth and Life, and Toronto's Good magazine. But Leacock had his sights set on bigger things. His real interest lay in economics and political science. He had come across the theory of leisure class by Thorstein Veblen. In the year 1899, his application was accepted at the University of Chicago to pursue graduate studies under Veblen. Shortly after this, on 7th August 1900, Stephen Leacock and actress Leacock Hamilton married. Their son Stephen Shumpton was born on 19th August 1915. During Leacock's third year at the University of Chicago, he accepted the position of special lecturer in political science and history with McGill University in Montreal, Quebec. In the year 1903, saw his dissertation, The Doctrine of Laissez-faire, completed, and he received his PhD magna cum laude. He was then to become a full-time assistant professor with McGill and began public lecturing primarily about the British Empire under patronage of May Court Club. His first book, Elements of Political Science, published in the year 1906, which became a standard university textbook for the next 20 years. Leacock was appointed full-time professor at McGill in 1908. Then Leacock published Literary Lapses in the year 1910 with the financial assistance of his brother George. It is the best of collections of his previously published writings. It sold out quickly and propelled Leacock into being known as one of the most popular authors in the English-speaking world. In 1911, Leacock's collection of parallel nonsense novels successfully followed, based on Leacock's many summers spent in Orilla, Ontario, and other childhood experiences. His satirical masterpiece, Sunshine Sketches of a Little Town, was released in the year 1912. It was very popular in Canada, the United States, and England. Its satirization of city life, Acadian adventures with the adult itch, was published in 1914. On 15th December 1925, Leacock's wife, Beatrice, died of breast cancer. Leacock kept his sorrow private and returned to writing, teaching, and public speaking, and with his gift of public speaking, spoke whenever he could about cancer and assisted with fundraising for cancer research. In the year 1921, Canadian Authors Association was founded and he was one of the founders of the association. On 31st May 1936, he had retired from McGill because of mandatory retirement at the age of 65. My discovery of the West, a discussion of East and West in Canada, won the Governor General's Award in 1937. Leacock was diagnosed with throat cancer and died on 28 March 1944. The Stephen Leacock Medal for Honor has been awarded yearly since 1947 for the best humorous book by a Canadian author. In 1958, Stephen Leacock Memorial Home on Old Beverly Bay was opened to the public and declared a national memorial in 1968. To mark this centenary of Leacock's birth, the Government of Canada issued on 12th November 1969 a 6-cent stamp in his honor. In the year 1970, a mountain in the Yukon St. Elias range was named after him. Apart from this, my financial career, he has written many notable works, such as Further Foolishness and Essays and Literary Studies in the year 1916, The Unsolved Riddles of Social Justice in the year 1920, My Discovery of England in the year 1922, Economic Prosperity in the British Empire in the year 1930, Mark Twain in 1932, Charles Dickens' His Life and Work, written in 1933, Humor, Its Theory and Technique in the year 1935, Canada, Foundation of its Future in the year 1941, Montreal, Seaport and City in the year 1942, and Canada and the Sea in the year 1944, and many more books and essays he has written. After had a detailed discussion on the author's biography, now we'll move to the introduction to the essay, My Financial Career. Anxiety, fear, trust, confusion, identity, and conflict are the themes of My Financial Career. The story of the essay is narrated in the first person by an unnamed author or narrator. My Financial Career is one of the Leacock's earliest pieces, appearing in his first published humorous book entitled Literary Lapses. This, along with the awful fate of Melpomene Joan, was converted into an animated short story by Gerald Portiton for the National Film Board of Canada. The essay deals with one of Leacock's favorite themes, the effect of economics on the life of man. The essay is in the form of short tips dialogues that swiftly move the action forward even as they reveal the psychology of the speaker and his interpretation of the others around them. The narrator's psychological intimidation is clearly presented by an economy of detail in which the scene richly suggests more than it relates. Now we'll see the story of the essay, My Financial Career. The story begins with the portrayal of the narrator, unnamed narrator, who speaks, "When I go into a bank, I get rattled. The clerks rattle me, the wickets rattle me, the sight of the money rattle me, everything rattles me." So this is the opening line of My Financial Career. The narrator speaks that he expresses his feeling when he enters into the bank. Here the narrator is physically rattling as he enters the bank. It is as though he is afraid of what he has to do with his money. The moment the narrator crosses the doorsteps of a bank, he speaks foolishly. He thinks if he attempts to deposit his money in the bank, he will become an irresponsible idiot. He speaks to himself that he has no other choice than depositing his money in the bank because his salary is raised to $50 a month and he feels that bank is the only place for it. So he walks in and looks nervously around at the clerk. He also thinks if a person about to open an account must consult the manager, hence he goes to an accountant. The accountant is a tall, cool devil. The sight of the accountant itself rattles him. In a melancholy tone, the narrator asks the accountant, "Can I see the manager alone?" Without knowing why the narrator said or used that word alone when he tried to get an excuse. Then the accountant permitted him to meet the manager. Holding his $56, narrator meets the grey and calm manager. The mysterious manner of the narrator makes the manager thinks that the narrator might be a detective and he has come to reveal some secrets. Hence, the manager takes him to a private room and turns the keys and says, "We are safe from interruption here." But the narrator replies to the manager that he is not a detective and he has come to open an account, and also tells him he wants to deposit $56 now and $50 a month regularly. The manager seems to be relieved from his tension and asks the accountant to open an account for the narrator. And he directs him what are the things the narrator has to do to open an account, and he does, and the accountant open an account for the narrator. and as soon as he complete his account opening process, the narrator gets an idea to withdraw $6 for his present use. He gets the slip and fills the slip with the help of others in the bank, because he is new and he has no idea of the process which takes place in the bank. So with the help of others in the bank, he fills the slip and give it to the clerk. Out of hesitation and fear, he writes something on the check and tossed it in the clerk. The clerk looks at the slip filled by the narrator and asks him whether he is going to withdraw all the money deposited just now. The narrator is shocked. Later, he realizes that he has written 56 instead of $6 in the slip. Because of the chaos and this anxiety and fear, he doesn't know what to write or what he has written in the slip. So instead of writing $6, he has written $66. He doesn't want to explain to them now because he feels that it is impossible to explain the things to the bank employees. All the clerk stop writing and look at the narrator with sadness. He says, yes, the whole thing. So by mistake he wrote 66 instead of writing $6. So whatever the amount he deposited, the whole amount he has filled in the form, a withdrawal slip. So that made the clerk to shock at why did he come here and why did he open an account and why now he is withdrawing all the money. So everyone look at him. Then the clerk asks the narrator whether he is going to withdraw all his money from the bank and not going to deposit any money. For that the narrator replies that yes, he will never come back to the bank. He replies to the clerk that he has no idea coming back to the bank hereafter. Finally, the narrator gets back the money from the bank, and since then he never banks. He keeps his money in cash in his trouser packet and is saving in silver dollars in his sock. So this is the story of my financial career. Just it talks about when a person who is new to the bank ambience, when he enters into the bank to open an account, what are the things he does there in the bank? Lack of knowledge of that attitude and things happening in the bank. At the same time, how do the authoritarian or the institution react to such kind of fear of the customer? So that is explained in the financial career. Now we move to the critical appreciation of my financial career. The physical description of the convict as a tall, cool devil in the bank is also interesting, as he does not seem to relieve the narrator's fear. There is also a sense that narrator is exaggerating his position, though the sum of money that is lodging is a vast amount to the narrator, but to the bank it would be considered as low amount of money. This could be important as Leacock may be pitting the individual against an institute, highlighting how an individual can disturb an institute. So here, this is a fault or on the narrator's side. So that is his responsibility to know the formalities to be done to open an account. And only when he has the trust on the bank, he has to enter into the bank to do the transaction. So, giving some disadvantages or lacking in some information from the narrator side, he entered into the institution and made some chaos there, and he disturbed the people who are working in the bank. So, to highlight that attitude, this one is picturized. Sometimes an individual may make his presence in an institution, which may be a government, a private office, or maybe anything, disturbing the function of institution, assuming that something goes wrong or will go wrong, as the narrator reacted in this My Financial Career. The bank manager gives the narrator much respect at first, thinking that the narrator may be a detective and important and also significant. Through this behavior of the manager, Leacock shows how the theme of identity takes its role in society, and also Leacock suggests that the bank manager is used to deal with people of importance. Actually, the narrator needs not to see the bank manager to open an account in the bank. Instead, he assumes incorrectly that the bank manager is the person he needs to see to open an account. The fact that the bank manager is also abrupt and cold with the narrator on discovery that all he wants to do is open an account, that could also be important. Here, Leacock may be highlighting how detached those in authority may be actually, rather than taking an interest in the narrator, the bank manager directs him elsewhere. As if the narrator is a man of no importance to the bank manager. Sometimes it happens in some institutions, or very often in a few institutions. Only a few people whom officials consider as important, and they will be recognized and they will be respected by the authorities. So the same way here in this story, the narrator, when the bank manager thought that the narrator is a detective, so he was given much respect and he was treated well. As soon as the bank manager comes to know that he has come to just open an account, the treatment of the manager is totally changed. So to the manager, the narrator becomes nothing. So the same way in most of the institutions it happens. That Leacock highlights through this. The process of the narrator lodging his money is also an interesting thing, as he remains confused in the act of depositing his money in the bank. It is something normal for an individual who enters into the bank for the first time to either open an account or to do any transactions. It is also significant thing that the bank manager, accountant, clerk don't do anything to calm down the narrator's confusion or fear, which further highlights the conflict that exists between the individual and an institute. In most cases, the officials ignore the fear of the customers or common man about the institution. It is the prime duty of the officials to make the trust on them, which means the institutions. the bank needs the individuals to come in, it doesn't treat the customer well, but it considers the customer more as an hindrance, like the narrator treated by the manager, accountant, and also by the clerk. At no stage in this story, we as a reader could not find or sense that there is a personal touch being administered by any of the people employed by the bank. So whether to empathize for the fear of the narrator, or to give guidelines to the narrator, or to create the trust on the bank. So nothing is made in the bank when the narrator, the customer, is struggling there in the bank. So if there is a kind of personal touch administrated in the bank, the narrator might not be confused and might have withdrawn only $6 and remaining $50 might be still in his account. But lack of this personal touch of administration, he was confused and he withdrew all his money. Instead, it seems as though all concerned look at the narrator as being a problem rather than being an asset to the bank. So how they treated the narrator? Instead of creating some personal administration or personal touch, so they felt that the narrator is a disturbing factor in the bank. On the whole, the bank's need is the narrator's money in order to make profit, but does not treat him with the respect that any new customer would expect to receive. So that is quite natural for any customer or any person who get into any institution, whether it's for trading or transaction of money or whatever it is, we as a customer expect some kind of respect, which we couldn't get at times, as the narrator couldn't get in the bank. That Leacock emphasized through this incident. The end of the story is also interesting. As the reader, we could sense that the narrator's confusion has accelerated. It is evidenced through the act of withdrawing $56 rather than $6. Actually, the narrator intends to withdraw $6 for a monthly expenditure, but he withdraws all his money back because of fear and chaos. Though the narrator realizes his mistake, he does not rectify it. Here, the narrator's actions could be considered as ridiculous, and no one can say that whatever the narrator did is right. It is a kind of ridiculous, it's humorous, but symbolically Leacock just highlights how uncomfortable the narrator is with leaving his money in the bank. So after or while doing transaction or while doing deposit his money in the bank, he doesn't have the trust on the bank people or the institution. So from the beginning till the end, he was in chaos. He has a doubt what will happen to his money. So a lot of confusion he had in that. But nowhere it is clarified or nowhere he was explained. So that he says that throughout the story, the narrator was uncomfortable. That Leacock highlights how uncomfortable the narrator is with leaving his money in the bank, because the trust is not created. If the institution or the employees in the bank made the narrator feel that or comfortable in that place, and he might have got the trust
and he may not be confused, and he might have maintained an account. Even though the narrator is confused and afraid throughout the story, he still knows that the money which he has is his own and that he is entitled to it. The irony is that those who are in the bank laugh at the narrator when the narrator leaves the bank, ignoring to accept their mistake, that they have failed or they are lacking in the ability to empathize with the narrator, rather than they consider themselves better than the narrator. So that's the ironic part of this story. Actually, we were in the position to clarify his doubt and to make him comfortable in the place and to make him come out of his fear. They didn't do anything, and simply they look at the narrator for his ridiculed attitude and they started to laugh. So that's the irony, and moreover they think that they are better than the narrator. Leacock was an economist and had both a deep understanding and knowledge of the common man's distrust of the field, as well as his confusion over what it actually meant for or what did. He addressed this theme in the essay My Financial Career. Banks are living embodiment of the obscure world of finance and economics. For the ordinary individual, it is a mysterious place. As far as the narrator is concerned, and he deposits his money here in the hope that it would be safe and accessible. Leacock emphasizes that an individual becomes paralyzed at times due to the strange attitude of the institutions, as the narrator has no idea of what he is doing and why he returns after opening and closing the same account in the space of a few minutes. Leacock portrayed the characters well to eliminate the effect of economics on the life of a man, and also to show the real picture of the institution in this My Financial Career. Thank you.